the name of the town, of the company, was the Texas Rice Development Corporation. And they owned land. Couldn't find a map for it, didn't have time to, but that's the coast. They own a lot of land all along the coast. They subdivided it into blocks. A big block out there for somebody that wanted to farm. A smaller block that maybe they weren't too sure, maybe they were gonna have a little vegetable garden or something like that, and so it would be a smaller block. And then they got into, lots all along there, for home sites. These same guys from Louisiana took this chunk of land right here and made a town. And they formed the Palacios City Town Site Company with the same people in it. And if you want to remember their names, you can go downtown. When they formed the city, a mile square, the streets north and south, were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so, not very creative. They could have called them something else, but the other ones, the avenues were named after them. So if you live on Magnuson, or Welch, or Lucas, even on Main, although it was originally had a different name, even Commerce had a different name. Those 20 people, about, give or take a few as they came and went, were so smart that they made the town square, but they would not make lots of the land just around the bay. That was left for the people of Palacios as park. So you can just remember every time you see one of those names, Moore Avenue or Perriman, thank them that they were that smart. The city was a mile square, as I said, and it had some additions over the years. Foley addition, 4 additions out there, first, second, third, and college edition, because there used to be a college out there. And then the Green Acres, named after the people that were named Green, that owned that land. There were others, and of course, there was Camp Hulen, who was formed from 1,300 acres that the Camp Hulen, Camp Palacios at that time, association purchased and had ready for military use. I did watch the adventures in Mr. Silverman that in going through all those papers, he played the museum has loads of stuff upstairs that makes me want to itch to go up there and get it organized. Bay City in 1900 had a population of 6,097 people. And in 1910, Palacios had 1,380. So, funny to see those figures. The town was named originally Tres Palacios, after the creek, the river. If you don't know it, there were no palaces. No Spaniards shipwrecked off that were looking at towards the land and saw the palaces and all that. The name of the river was named after Jose de Palacios, who was the big cheese in Mexico at that time. did not use Tres Palacios as a name because there was originally another Tres Palacios up the creek, up towards Tidehaven in that area, which didn't make it, but the name was still, had a post office, so you couldn't, so we dropped the Tres and only had Palacios. Palacios. Now it's flashing. Now, if you wanted to buy a lot in Palacios, and, so you talk to a realtor, or, if in the early days, you could go to the town company and say, I want to buy a lot 10 in block 42. And, they would probably sell it to you. You didn't have to worry about an attorney, checking the title, because it was directly out of the town company into the new owner. If that lot, when John Smith bought it, was, said to be worth $3, that's what you were taxed on. Now, John Smith could have bought it in 1910, and it was worth $3, but he could decide to build a home there. So if you look at the tax records, the value that the tax people had on it was $3 before he built the house, and $10 afterwards. That is how, one way that you can look to find out how old your house is to go to the tax records and see when the value changed from back in those days. And it could change over the years. You know, you might have decided to add a room later in 1932, and so it went up to $12 for a kid. Or, I'm not sure what I said before. And in 1936, he added another room, and it went up to $15. In 1963, it went up to $20. That was after Hurricane Carl, when many people either had to fix their house or build a new one. And so the value that they had on that lot and building would have changed drastically. And it goes on and on. And if he wants to sell it, he's got to say, I own this, and it's my right to sell it to you, and you have good title. Well, Robert Jones, that wants to buy it, says, how can I be sure it's clear title? And you go to an attorney, and he checks the title and writes an opinion. It's called a title opinion, because he has gone back into the records that are in Navigator County abstract office. He goes back and he checks all of those records to be sure that there isn't something in there that changes that right that John Smith had to sell it to Robert. Anyway, so in the olden days, I was fortunate to work for 3 attorneys over the years. And I worked for a land management company. So I learned a lot about land, oil leases, easements that could make the difference in the title, selling off or giving a gift deed to a child for part of it, and it would show up. In the olden days, when I first went to work, we had abstracts of title. And I meant to bring one, but I forgot it. But an abstract of title is a copy, a printed copy of everything that's been set in the record in Montgomery County about that particular law. And the abstract companies used to, they've probably gone all digital now, I don't know how they do it. But at that time, it took little drawers that you pull out. Here is block 42, and everything that's been put of record has got a little card in there about that lot, those lots. So you look all the way through there, everything's got about lot 10, and make a copy of it, and that becomes an abstract. And then you take it to the attorney and say, all right, do I have the right to sell this so that they have the title? And the attorney will look at it and give them a title. Well, nowadays they do it by insurance, but it's still the same thing. They still have to be able to prove by looking at the records in the abstract companies that everything that's been record they know about, and they can say it's either a good title or not. Abstracts sound like a boring thing, but they were interesting. Ashes, according to the surveys, is bisected. Here's it's bisected. Served on one side is a Susan Perkins, and on the other side is a Thomas Dasher. And come to find out, when reading back in those days, Susan Perkins sold her survey to a man in Collegeport, and his name is on a GW, what's the creek name over there?
Pilkington.
And so he bought it, but he also married Susan Perkins, so she got it back anyway. And she got it because her father had been in the war and had received it as a gift. I want to say that if you are interested in the Montgomery County history, start with the Blue Book, the big 1986 history of Montgomery County, which, by the way, received many awards for its thoroughness. Yes.
Come back on again.
No, that's all, I don't know. This is a copy of the map that's inside the book. You can't buy them anymore, they're all sold, but you can go to the library and, I don't know if they'll let you check it out or not, but, there's one of the flashes. It also turns around.